Welcome to the Blockchain Fundamentals and its Application, the class offered at the Montclair State University, Montclair, New Jersey. My name is Thomas Zakrzewski, and today I will discuss topics on legal aspects of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. For today's interview, I invited Louis Cohen, one of the first, if not the first, attorney at law who almost a decade ago investigated blockchain as a technology to run trades, issue capital, and even manage contracts. Welcome, Louis.
Thank you, Tom.
In a few words, something about yourself, your background, and anything you would like to have students to know about you.
Well, first and foremost, it's a pleasure to be here and talking to you. This is one of the most interesting areas of the law and of business, and it's just a fascinating area. So I think you're very lucky to be studying and taking this class. I think it's interesting. In terms of myself, I began as a very traditional lawyer, working in traditional areas of finance with large banks and other financial institutions. I became interested in what blockchain technology could do probably back around 2016 or so, and founded a blockchain group at the large law firm that I was working at the time. And subsequently realized that this area is very unique, and really for the vision that I had for the practice, I wanted to be able to do it on my own. So we started DLX Law about a little over 5 years ago with my co-founder, Angela Wilson. And Angela's based in Washington, D.C. I'm based in New York City. And we kind of combined forces. I had more of a capital markets orientation, and Angela focused more on bank regulatory and related issues, money laundering and things like that. And so we combined. Our third colleague, Greg Strong, joined us shortly after we started, and he's based in Wilmington, Delaware. And so the three of us, together with several other colleagues, work on a wide range of projects involving distributed ledger technology, blockchain, and crypto assets.
Thank you, Louis. You're a well-known attorney in financial circles. I remember you when I was working in S&P. And especially with the dealing with the complex financial transactions, as you know, that's probably a most complex world. And how did you get introduced to the blockchain and as a technology? And what have you seen that attracted you to be interested in working in it?
Yeah, it's a great question, and definitely relates to things like complex traditional transactions like securitization transactions. I had done quite a lot of those, and of course, many of the transactions of that nature gave rise to some of the underlying issues that created the great financial crisis in 2008 and 2009. And so when we thought about how do we kind of make the world a better place, one of the things that we looked at was greater transparency and automation and things to avoid some of the problems from the financial crisis. And I became interested in that regard, and maybe this blockchain technology, which was still pretty new at the time, could be part of the answer to that. And I got more and more intrigued, and I felt like it automated many of the things that we were doing sort of in an analog kind of way previously, in terms of writing spreadsheets and sort of allocating cash flows. And now that could all be done with smart contracts and other tools. And it became very exciting, and the opportunities seem sort of boundless.
Louis, you are one of the co-founders or founders, right, of the EXL firm that specializes in blockchain and cryptocurrencies. Please explain what typical and non-typical cases you have been involved in or are involving in.
Sure. Well, so we're very fortunate as a boutique firm. We have a lot of choice over what matters in cases we take on for our firm. So the larger firms kind of have a lot of bodies, and they need a lot of work throughput, and we're able to be very selective, and so only really take on the matters that we think are important and interesting, and where we can really add value. Some of the more interesting and unusual things that we've done over the years is we helped one of the large crypto asset marketplaces called Kraken get the first special purpose depository institution, or SPDI, or Speedy Bank charter My colleague Angela had led that effort on our part, and that was very exciting, very novel, very different. We also have helped a client get the first SEC no action letter for a token, an ERC20 type token or Ethereum-based token that was not a security from the SEC. So we worked with the SEC for about a year, and that was called Pocket Full of Quarters. So that was very novel and important as well. We helped a major NBA basketball star issue a security token, which was pretty interesting, definitely unique and different. We've helped a variety of digital asset exchanges manage different sort of issues that they're faced. We represent a number of foundations that help support digital asset ecosystems in different ways. And of course, we represent a number of projects, creating tokens and trying to navigate through that difficult sort of environment. And we represent venture investors as well who invest in crypto assets and help them sort of understand their investments and do due diligence and structure their investments and things like that. So really a wide range of different types of matters. Yeah.
Indeed, wide range. And why are the legal cases related to blockchain are complex and the outcome of litigating difficult to predict?
Sure. Well, the thing is, crypto assets on public, non-permissioned, open chains, permissionless chains, are really a unique sort of thing. We call them assets, but really they're the ability to control a network of computers and give instructions to a network of computers. And what you own, whether it's a Bitcoin or whether it's an Ether token or whether it's another ERC20 token, what you own when you own a digital asset is the unique ability to give an instruction to a network of computers. Lower my balance by 10, increase Tom's balance by 10. That's an instruction that I can give, but it just doesn't fall within any other category of asset that we really know in the law. And so it gives rise to all kinds of different issues. Well, what does it mean to own that? Can two people own the same thing? What if your private keys are lost? What does that mean? What sort of assets are these? Are these securities? Are they commodities? Is this really all just gambling? That's a question people ask all the time. How do you manage the misuse of these assets? And so working in the space means that we have to answer all of those questions and many more as well. And of course, crypto assets are not bound to any one jurisdiction. So you also need to think about how this can play out for clients in other jurisdictions. And we struggle to help where our clients struggle. We try and help them to understand multiple jurisdictions and different issues that they all face. So yeah.
Yeah, as we know, right, that there is no still a clearly defined legal framework in the United States. Can you point out any recent significant developments or legal cases regarding the blockchain and cryptocurrencies that may shape that legal framework in the US?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. There have been a number of important cases, probably the most important of which recently has been the SEC's case against Ripple Labs, which had been going on for about 2.5 years now. And in that case, the SEC sued a company called Ripple Labs that had created a digital asset, which they called XRP, and had sold that digital asset in a variety of different ways to make money. And the SEC asserted that the sales of those digital assets violated our federal securities laws. And they litigated for a long time. And finally, we got a decision from the court a couple of weeks ago now. And the judge in that case, Judge Annalisa Torres, concluded that although some of the sales that Ripple Labs conducted did violate our federal securities laws, others did not. And that really, I think, shocked a lot of people. And so that was a very important case. The SEC had been telling anyone who wanted to listen that this was all very clear. All these people are violating the law. Anybody can figure it out. The only people who don't believe this are bad actors and people who don't understand the law. And so to see a federal judge disagree with that, said, no, I'm not dumb and I'm not violating the law. I'm not doing any of those things. You're just wrong. And so it was really, really interesting to see. So that was a very important case. Probably the most important case of all, though, is going on right now, and that's SEC versus Coinbase, the large digital asset marketplace. And the SEC asserts that the Coinbase has violated 3 different types of laws. They allege that the Coinbase is an illegal or unregistered broker-dealer. So they're dealing in securities, but they're not registered as a broker-dealer. Number 2, that they're an illegal exchange, that they should be registered as a national securities exchange, and they're not. And then number 3, they're an illegal clearing agent. That is to say, they should be registered as a securities clearing agency, and they're not. And so all of those things would fundamentally kind of shut down their business. So that's a very interesting lawsuit. And Coinbase has filed its response. And we'll see. We're still at an early stage in the litigation. It's what's known broadly speaking as a motion to dismiss. So Coinbase is asserting that the SEC has not even made a credible argument as to why, very specifically, they violated the law. And in particular, they focused on whether the tokens that are on their marketplace are securities or not. And as the Coinbase position is they're not securities, and so therefore they haven't violated any law. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens there. There are also some interesting private litigations. There's private litigation around NFT platforms. There's private litigation around DAOs or decentralized autonomous organizations. And so there's a lot of different litigation going on right now that could have a real impact on the space.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear that because we're waiting for this for the past 8 years. And how other legal jurisdictions such as European Union, England, Liechtenstein, Singapore, and other deal with the blockchain? How do they differ from United States, and are they more advanced than the United States in creating a clear legal framework?
Yeah, so that's another great question. I would say that many jurisdictions have kind of leapfrogged the United States by developing legal frameworks that would address the unique nature of digital assets or crypto assets. Europe, as you mentioned, has really jumped ahead with a far-ranging regulation known as MiCA, the Markets in Crypto Asset Regulation, MiCA. And that's very important. Switzerland was actually one of the first jurisdictions to pass a law that sort of creates a framework for crypto assets, and it's overseen by FINMA, which is their markets regulator. Singapore, of course, has done a bunch of things as well. And in the UK, they haven't gotten quite as far as all that, but they do have rules about the marketing of crypto assets and advertising, which has been a real issue in people kind of doing misleading advertising. So the UK has done stuff too. I can't say too much about Liechtenstein, I regret to say, but they're obviously a fund center, and I'm sure they've got some good rules there as well. But we're seeing a lot of things. Brazil actually even adopted a crypto asset regulation. So the US is pretty far behind at this point. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you. My students at Montclair State, they are very eager to start any businesses in blockchain, especially like cryptocurrency, obviously, other assets related, such as the pools and loans and etc. What advice would you give to them? How usually developers don't really look at it, the court of law, the legal frameworks, but this is a special case, right? What advice would you give to them before they even start looking into this?
Well, if you're here in the States, if you're going to Montclair State, you're probably here in the US. So if you're here in the States and you're working on a project like this, I regret to say, talking to a lawyer is really, really important. And not just any lawyer, but somebody who understands what's going on. And there's for sure a cost associated with that. And, you have to really manage that. And I wish it were different, but it is. And so I would say if you're starting, you're a developer and you're fascinated by the technology and what it can do, remember, just because you can doesn't mean that you should, like so many other things in life. So blockchain technology enables a lot of things, but some of the things that it enables are problematic. So for example, if you wanted to create what's known as an event contract market, and a number of people have sought to do this with using decentralized technology, and create an event contract. Is this going to happen before that date or whatever? You could certainly easily do that, but that sort of arrangement looks a lot like gambling. And for example, if you don't have the appropriate restrictions and you let regular folks here in the US use that platform, then you may be violating state and federal law. So it's a good example of, if you're a developer in the space, you really want to make sure that what you're doing is not only can you technically do it, but also something that you may not want to do because it may raise too many legal issues for you. So you have to be, as a developer, you have to be very careful. Just because you can do it doesn't mean that you should be doing it.
Yeah, thank you. It's always a pleasure meeting with you and talked about the blockchain. Very excited technology for the past several years. Although the AI is gaining the momentum, I believe that there will be some convergence of these two on the blockchain platform, hopefully. I would like to thank you for the interview again, and we discussed today a very important aspect of blockchain, which is the legal framework to conduct financial transactions, including trade, capital issuance, and management. Thank you, and have a good day.
Thank you, guys.